The story begins with Nora and Alec driving to the countryside for having a good time away from people and work. However, they doubt if they're on the right track to their destination, and Nora needs toilet. So they stop at a point to ask for assistance, but they can't find a single being in that area. Nora finds someone's cell phone and wallet on the side of a camp, while being unable to even find a private to relieve herself. She decides to just do it right there in the open without a care in the world. Despite her intention, who is completely missing the skull, we are shown in the scene nearby. After that, Nora goes back to the car and chats comfortably about the items she discovered at their stop. Alec doesn't seem completely interested though, as he's more concerned about the car's fuel supply and tells her that they're running low on fuel. Further along their way, the couple encounters a woman whose car has broken down while traveling. Alec offers to help her with her car and starts working right away. The conversation between the women shifts to a question about Nora's marital status with Alec. Nora is deeply offended by this comment and bluntly tells her that it is none of her business, in which the old woman takes it further and criticizes her without knowing about Nora's life, and tells that she doesn't need their help and calls them as foolish and careless. Alec tries his best to fix the car, but he is unable to do so. This aggravates her even more, and she criticizes Alec as well by referring to him as a less of a man. The pair gets into their car and leaves the woman behind, furious that they got slapped on the mouth by an old woman for no apparent reason. Alec recommends not talk about it, but Nora shares her dislike of the countryside and blames him for helping people like that old woman. They eventually come upon a busy diner and decide to stop for a rest and fresh up. There, after the waitress describes a menu to them, they request non-vegetarian burgers and drinks, but when they eat it, they don't like the taste of it. Alec then observes a man strangely staring at Nora. He finds this unpleasant and decides to leave the place immediately. Nora agrees, and the two get ready to leave the restaurant without finishing their food. Then same man stops them as they are leaving and informs Nora that she is not safe in this area. Alec looks to be really concerned about what the man said while driving, but Nora thinks he is just a junkie dude who can be trusted. After a while, they pull up at a gas station where Alec fills a tank, then inquires about a hotel or someplace to rest. Andrew, the cashier, points them in the direction of several rental cabins. Farther along the road, they stumble upon a rundown cabin as they continue their journey. Although Nora is initially uneasy about the rundown location, but they choose to enter because they have no other option. They notice a ram's head carved on the floor in front of the cabin, but it's just amusing for the couple. They are surprised by the landlord's appearance when they climb the stairs because of his twisted features. He extends a kind welcome and inquires if they need a room. When Alec confirms that they're looking for a place to stay, the landlord gives them to stay in that cabin and informs them that it used to be rented by scouts and campers. After he leaves, worried Nora confides in Alec her concerns over the landlord. He assures her that everything will be all right, which helps to calm her down. As they're talking, we see the bed was blood-stained, which again the couple didn't notice. Later on, after they are sleeping, a figure wearing a sheet mask is seen who has sneaked under the couple's bed throughout the night. He creeps out from under the bed and stands over them menacingly. Nora awakens the next morning and finds herself locked in a cage. The confusion and horrifying sight almost gives her a heart attack. She tries to free herself while screaming for Alec, but he is nowhere to be found. Then a man in a goat mask appears and bangs her cage, signaling that she should stay quiet. Scared, Nora agrees, but as the masked man leaves, she attempts to break out cage. She finds a rock outside her cage and manages to get a hold of it through the bars. Then she tries to use it to break the lock on her cage, but just then the goat masked man and another man with a cow mask arrive. The latter approaches her slowly and calmly sedates her. Nora regains consciousness in a barn while bound to a chair with her legs apart. Then a rabbit guy appears and uses a big syringe-like tool to inseminate her. Then the two men from earlier place Nora in her cage and take her somewhere. On the way, she witnesses other disguised people carrying out their usual tasks in the barn. She also notices other victims. After a while, the two guys dump Nora in the barn. The scene then shifts to a room where Alec and other men are being held captive. As he regains consciousness, he finds himself tied up naked. Alec tries to communicate with the other men in the barn when a group of farmers suddenly appears, and one by one they knock him out. Then the unconscious Alec is carried onto a trolley and taken to the warehouse for further processing. The scene then reveals that the property is actually a communal farm maintained by people wearing animal masks. Males are captured for their meat, while females are taken for their milk. The gathered meat is then used to provide catering services for weddings and other celebrations. Surprisingly, the landlord from earlier in this movie is shown to be the leader of this community. Following scenario, the landlord is seen receiving a large order that necessitates a large quantity of meat. He is told by a worker that there aren't enough supplies to match the demand. The landlord has no choice but to investigate his farm, for the landowner checks each female's milk production rates before selecting the least productive one for their needs. And a patrol guy from earlier in the movie is subsequently shown to work for the landlord, whose job is to guide guests to the cabin. Nora finds a second victim inside the barn, seated next to her in a stable. She is being continuously milked via a connection to a milking machine. Nora asks the woman what is going on at the farm, and she replies it's best if she doesn't know, since there is a way to get away. We hear the cries of Ashley, a different lady who has been there for 3 years. As the two continue their conversation, Nora tries to comfort her by promising that they will find a way to get away. Ashley claims that it is difficult to escape from this place since the masked guys always manage to track them down. The focus then shifts to the barn, where Nora witnesses the earlier woman being processed. Nevertheless, by a knock on her door, to her shock, Alec shows up still alive and conscious. They eventually succeed in getting out of the stables, and Nora gasps in excitement. However, the threat is yet to be felt because they still need to cross the property safely. While avoiding the masked men, Nora helps Alec get to a truck for their escape. But at a crucial moment, it won't start like usual, leaving them to continue on foot. They eventually get to a church where they stop for a rest. The faces of Jesus and his followers have been replaced with animal masks. The pair is horrified while turned and look around. Suddenly, a man wearing a cow mask walks inside. The moment he begins to pray, the couple take their chance to run away. Unfortunately, they are seen, and the cowman rings a bell to let the other farm workers know. Alec is caught in a bear trap while escaping, and Nora tries to release him. Alec, though, tells her to flee as the disguised workers draw near. Nora does not want to part ways, but she is forced to run and leave Alec behind. The workmen catch up to Alec and finishes him right away, and Nora hides out in the barn. During this time, one of the male prisoners there sees her presence and gives her a silent signal to go. Nora rushes up to his cage and begs him to assist her in getting away from the miserable farm. The man informs her about a bus that the workers use to transfer them, and additionally, he reveals where the workers keep the keys. With this knowledge, Nora makes her way to the large area where many cars are parked. She sees a disguised driver there. Fortunately, with his back to her, Nora takes advantage of this by using a hammer to strike him. Then 3 other people in masks see Nora at that very moment. They rush in her direction, but she jumps in the car and drives through the gate. But unfortunately, she quickly runs out of gas and has to get out. Then, after being followed throughout the property, Nora returns to the stables out of desperation, and later she assists Ashley out with her. After releasing her from there, they then proceed to the bus, only to discover that the keys are gone. Nora is disappointed, but she keeps recalling what the imprisoned man had said before, so she goes to the specified residence to get the keys. After finding it, she finds her way back to the bus. We see Ashley seem to be drowned in something for some reason, and Nora notices this while trying to start the bus. To her horror, she discovers that all of the seats are occupied by masked men. Finally, as the film comes to the end, the disguised workers are seated around a table being served Nora and Ashley with apples in their mouth. Please drop a like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.